Hey everyone, I'm just continuing that book series, just different leadership books that have impacted my life, and I'm really excited to share this new one with you because this one is probably the one that started it all. For me, this was the one that really shaped the course of my life. I'm on my way to work. It's Friday, and anyway, it really shaped my view and impacted me in so many different ways that I cannot explain how much it's impacted me. I'll just try to do a little bit of a justice. It's In the Name of Jesus by Henri Nouwen. Henri Nouwen was a Catholic priest. He was a Harvard professor. So he had prestige. He had people who looked up to him. He had a lot of influence. And he was a renowned speaker in his day. But he just felt like his soul was empty, that he wasn't doing um enough, or that it just wasn't satisfying him, and he was crying out to the Lord, like, Lord, what would you have me do? And he felt called to leave all of his recognition, all of the platform that he had mustered in his life, all the fame, all the praise, all the glory. He was an author. He could go anywhere he wanted. Doors would open to him. And what he did is he moved to Canada to a community of special needs. And he was partnered with a man who was handicapped and disabled, where it would take him 3 hours just to do this man's basic needs. And this man, he served him for years and years faithfully. He went from the place of prominence of everybody knows me, everybody loves me, everybody speaks highly of me, to nobody cares what I've done. No, in this community, none of that matters. And now I have complete liberty, independence, and now I'm there and I'm just a servant. And he submitted to this community, and somebody reached out to him to come and speak on leadership, going into the 20th century, 21st century, I can't remember which it was. And he went to his community board, and because he couldn't just get up and leave this man that he's taking care of, like, a big arrangements had to be done, because he was such a critical role in this man's life. And they agreed, yeah, go. But he's like, we should send somebody from the community with you. And so he sends this one individual who is also disabled, but was a lot more functional, was able to get around and help. And he presents about what he's learned since being in that community. And so imagine that you are on the what society says is the pinnacle, like, this is the top, this is where everybody should aspire to, he and then he leaves all of that, what society says is what we should strive for, and he goes to the lowest of the low. And from that, he says he learned what leadership was. And from that, this book, In the Name of Jesus, by Henri Nouwen, is all about servant leadership. It's about going low and serving. And it's my personal opinion, because I believe every believer should read this book. And if you are a Christian leader, I highly, highly recommend, if you have never read this, read it. Now, on a side note, Henri Nouwen, yes, he was a Catholic. I know there's traditions that don't believe Catholics are even saved. Um, I think that's hogwash. I think that's foolishness. Um, all Christians have a debt of gratitude, or should have a debt of gratitude to Catholics, because they preserve the faith for generations, before our Reformation. So Protestants owe a debt and should honor Catholics. Doesn't mean we have to agree with all of them. But my favorite authors are actually Catholic priests or Catholic monks. That not all of them are priests, and one was a woman, so she's a Catholic. She wasn't a nun. But the majority of the authors that I say are my top tier authors were Catholics. Historical figures, and there's a couple more modern figures. And anyway, the thing I liked about Nouwen is that although he comes from a different frame of work, a frame perspective, he he writes very simply and down to earth. If you get into prayer or other things that he writes about, his literature is excellent. I've read multiple books by Henri Nouwen. I have not found one that I did not like. And even though he was from like the 60s, I believe, his works are still relevant today, especially his works on spirituality, on prayer. Check him out. And from him, or for me, I apologize, his writing was a soft introduction to how Catholics think. And then it also helped me to get into the other authors who write about spirituality from a Catholic perspective. Now, I don't agree with all of their thoughts or ideas, but there's such a depth in many, many Catholics, priests. So, and just historical figures. So I encourage you, maybe you don't want to get into all of that, but you're just wanting a book on leadership, check out Henri Nouwen, In the Name of Jesus. And if you're interested in any of those other authors or those titles, please hit me up. Let me know. And what book shaped you? What is the first leadership book you wrote, and what did you think of it? How did it impact you? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you later.